Hello and welcome to a Hordes.io video based on party hellspawning. The first part will be about 50 to 70 stack hellspawning and even a little bit above that. So first, your party composition. You're going to want 3 to 4 shamans depending on how strong they are and how much gear they have. Next, you're going to want 1 warrior, 1 archer, and 4 to 5 mages, depending on how many shamans you have. So, how to enter and start a farm. The group starts on the side with the shamans stacking all but the warrior. They will then use K9 and the warrior will enter to about here and gather half of the mobs. They will then taunt and then the shamans can start stacking the warrior. Once the warrior has taunted, the DPS can begin bursting down this first set of mobs. Then, from here, the warrior will want to go to slightly behind center of the farm and gather the rest of the mobs. Following again, the warrior will taunt and then the DPS will do their bursting. Once you're at the center of the farm, the warrior wants to be just behind halfway of where all the mobs are gathered so they can use optimum bulwark. Behind them, you want to have the shamans and mages in around this area. Finally, you have the archer. The archer's job is to pull and gather all the mobs and bring them to the party. The archer doesn't want to attack the mobs at any point as that will draw aggro onto them rather than the shamans healing them. This archer will go in a circular motion around the farm, gathering mobs in waves. Ideally, the archer should gather all of them at once and bring them to the center as the pattern of the first half going and then the second half going happened when you started moving. Now, the archer has 3 key roles. Number 1, temp. This is part of the wider skill set. All you're meant to do with your temp is to give your party higher haste, and then you use your other skills and burst skills such as volley and precise shot with serpent arrows to burst down the mobs. Your movement, as before, was to gather the mobs in those 2 waves. And finally, your gear. For 50 to 70 hell stack mobs, you're going to want to have item find and luck on all gear pieces. As an archer, it is probably optimal to have dexterity and a mixture of critical and haste as the other 2 stats. Now onto the role of the warrior. The warrior is full tank. This is whatever tank set you own. I would recommend stamina, defense, block and haste be the 4 priority stats where HB and strength is your additional stat. The role of the warrior is to take aggro of all the mobs. They do this by taunting once every time that the wave comes in. The warrior then uses bulwark and cycles bulwark with each of these successive pulls and ideally stays alive due to the shaman stacks. This brings me on to shamans. Shamans need to use a skill set as displayed on the screen. You're using it similar to Gloom to keep all party members stacked at all times. The 1 shaman out of the 4 or 3 will run Mend as an backup option to heal the warrior if they mess up their bulwark rotation. Please note that K9 rotations are preferred to be 100% uptime. Right, now onto the role of the mages. The mages are going to want to do a similar PvE rotation that you would do against normal mobs. This includes using Hypo, Chilling, followed by Orb, and then finally Frostcall. Keep spamming Frostcall until your Chilling comes out of cooldown again, and again Chilling, Orb, Frostcall. This is then repeated and repeated as often as possible. If you're particularly sweaty, you can charm swap, but I tend to just use Candle and Talon. Additionally, if you want to increase your party's item find, you can use Gamble and Talon for low effort farming. For both Mage and Shaman, you're going to be using Bloodline, Haste, Item Find, Luck on all gears. You can occasionally use Crit instead of Haste, but Haste is the most optimal 4th stat for you to have on your gear. I hope you found this brief guide to 50 to 70 Hellspawn stack farming very useful, and I will see you in a video for 90 plus Hellspawn stack farming.